Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where each episode is graded as a school project, starting with 100 points and 1 point lost for each error. Then we'll see what is left. Today's episode is The Way to Eden. The Enterprise is hijacked by hippies who want to go to the Promised Land. These hippies are nothing but trouble, and they stole the spaceship Aurora, which looks a lot like an old iron. The first point is lost, then Sulu magically disappears and reappears. These hippies have a bit of an attitude. When Kirk hails them, they just fly off. Kirk says to overtake. Spock is thinking, oh no, the special effects crew will have to make the Enterprise lean to make it look like it's going fast. This episode is full of fear about Romulans, but spoiler alert, they won't show up, because the third season budget can't afford them, but scaring you about them is free. Now comes the power struggle with the tractor beam. Do they really think they're going to get away? Scotty saves the day, but something isn't quite right. This episode takes place right before Requiem for Methuselah, when the crew is suffering from a deadly disease. Obviously, the killer planet they found also has a killer disease. Of course, one of the hippies is an ambassador's daddy's boy, so Kirk has to walk on pins and needles in case he gets triggered and has an emotional breakdown for not getting what he wants. Kirk wants to know what's going on. Scotty's reply is, well, they're being assholes. Chekhov's thinking, hey, that's a catchy tune. That sounds like my ex-girlfriend. Kirk lets Tongo Rag know the fact he's an ambassador's son is the reason they aren't in jail right now. After Tongo Rag's response, the first thing Kirk should have done was to bitch slap him across the ship. Kirk's only wish is to beam them out into space right now. 1 point is lost here for a visible boom mic shadow. Kirk finds the easy way out and says, Spock, this is your problem now. Spock is more familiar with their cause and tries to communicate, but Severin is no help at all. Severin dreams of going to a planet that is a myth.
No, you see, that's just a myth.
Yeah, but she's my myth.
No, myth.
Yeah.
Spock is thinking, that's odd, my brother wanted the same thing. Dr. Severin now protests being arrested for committing crimes. What an asshole. He really sucks as a leader. One of his followers is an ambassador's son. He could have used that influence to promote his cause and book passage on a ship full of scientists, historians, and explorers, and got his own Ancient Aliens TV show, but he wants to credit all to himself. Dr. Severin says they recognize authority. Kirk is thinking, you moron, you were Melicon last year who was all about authority. What happened? Just what is he looking at on Kirk? Kirk offers him a free medical checkup and transport to his starbase, but Severin is convinced Kirk is an Uber driver.
How can you be deaf with ears like that?
The next point is lost for one set of doors on the fake turbolift. Kirk is blown away. One of them would have been at the Academy. What is this world coming to? Spock complains that their leader is a man that does not comply with progressive liberals. Shout out to Spock for researching who these people are and what they are in search of. Unfortunately, this group has gone over the deep end. Their group is looking to find a place that lacks technology. Not a bad goal, but Severin's methods are rather destructive. Spock explains why he's interested in their group, since he also fills out a place from time to time. Of course, he doesn't mention that his brother has been looking for the same thing. But if he revealed that secret now, they won't make a movie out of it. So logically, not telling Kirk now is simply job security for all of them. Kirk learns that a Herbert is an in-joke reference to Herbert Solau, one of the big guys in Star Trek producerdom. This comic could be taken in more ways than one. Poor dubbing of music here, so minus 1 more point. Adam tells Severin not to cry. Chekhov comes in looking for Irina, and Tongo Rad hints that he wants to see Chekhov naked. This show gets weird quick, doesn't it? Chekhov gives Irina a good chastising. He's saying, just look at you, just like Jan, the troubled middle child, causing nothing but trouble. And even showing your belly button on 60s TV, that's just drawing the line. And Irina says, Pavel, stick it up your ass, I'll do what I want. And I wanted to wear my dress on backwards, but the producers wouldn't let me. These hippies really know how to cause trouble, don't they? Kirk doesn't like them at all, does he? Shout out to the Star Trek universe for again being ahead of its time. Severin carries a Superbug that was created as a cause of a utopian sterilized society. And Severin is a carrier, so can only live in utopian sterilized societies that have vaccines for it, or he will spread it to all the proverbial natives on the planet. Ironically, according to the Trek timeline, in the next episode, the entire crew is struck with Rigelian fever. He might have had that too. Kirk puts him in isolation. Severin calls it jail. Of course, he can go to most Federation planets. Severin complains about his rights, but he also stole a spaceship too. Kirk is pretty excited about posting the guard, since he's supposed to be cordial to the ambassador's son. Kirk wants to know when the crew might show symptoms, and McCoy says, in about a week when the whole crew gets Rigelian fever instead and 3 crewmen die, and you fall in love with a robot girl and fight a 5,000-year-old man over her. This girl's talking to Sulu like a hooker. She's using the exact same lines a hooker would. Not that I have any experience in that, of course. -1 point for a reverse image of Kirk. Adam thinks this is a good time to sing a song. Scotty had a problem with one of those barefooted what-do-you-call-ems. -1 more point, because not enough time has passed between star dates. Another point lost for the captain's log talking down to the audience because we just saw what happened. And 1 more point lost for a single set of doors on a fake turbo lift. Severin is full of shit right here. He has total influence in what they're doing. He's a lot like Charles Manson saying, I'm not telling them what to do, they're doing it on their own. He's full of it. Spock comes up with a solution. He will help them find Eden and drop them all off to colonize the world and forget about them, like they did with Khan and his gang. Severin blames modern society for giving him the superbug, and doesn't believe it when Spock says they will try to find a cure for him too. Personally, I would love to have his costume as a collector's item, but have to take 1 point for the visible wrinkles in his bald cap that show up from time to time. Spock wasn't too impressed with his conversation with Severin, whom he respected until a few minutes ago. Ironically, Spock finds Eden before Sybok. Another point is lost for a mansplaining captain's log happening too soon after the previous one. Sometime in the future, computers will go back to using external data storage. And the hippies are sexist. Shouldn't the women also be allowed to dress the same as the men? Yes! Adam invites Spock to a jam session. Ironically, Spock kept the bells from his wedding. Spock says okay, but it looks like he knows Adam is up to something. Irina uses her feminine ways to make her move on Chekhov. Will it work? Yes, I think it worked on him. And he also told her you can steer the ship from that room. He's really under her spell. Those are the dangers of showing a belly button on 60s TV. The hippies make their plans to take over the ship. It sounds like they want to get some of the crew to join them and mutiny, but that never happens. The jam session takes place in the crew lounge, and 1 point is lost for mismatched voiceovers. And 1 point is lost for broadcasting the music on the bridge and all over the ship. That's gonna cause a problem. And why are they all stuffed in the doorway? Spock jams with a girl and a bicycle wheel. As you can see in his eyes, Severin isn't behind their actions at all. Not one bit. It looks like Tongo Rad's race can do something similar to the Vulcan pinch. Kirk doesn't realize one of those music makers is actually Spock. Here's Kirk's problem, comparing these hippies to when he drove his mother's car off a cliff just for the heck of it. -1 point for this secure position arranged for the operator to have his back to the door. Now look what happened. This captive audience has no idea they're being set up in a trap. And this screenshot turned out really good. The Enterprise is turning left. Sulu discovers they have no helm control and someone else is running the ship.
Very astute.
The next point is lost for not sending security to auxiliary control. And when Severin says the doors are frozen, another point is lost for not using the transporter to either beam them out or security in. And how come these people didn't notice everybody just left? If he's this dangerous, they should risk the site-to-site transporter. This is one of the few times where they mention the neutral zone is different than Romulan space. Kirk is worried about the Romulans, of course, but I doubt if the Romulans care, since they already know the planet they are going to will kill them all. Spock tries to convince Adam that Severin isn't a fairy princess, but Adam isn't listening. What really sucks is that Spock did try to help, and he got stabbed in the back for it. Kirk prays while Spock contemplates just beaming them all out into space. 1 point is lost, since neither Chekhov or Spock confirmed they found Eden, so this planet they spotted might not be the one they're actually looking for. And another point is lost, since it is highly unlikely these guys are skilled enough to transfer command to auxiliary control and take over the ship so quickly. Severin really looks dorky when he's smiling, doesn't he? Adam's singing is great, but I can't play any of it due to copyright claims. Aww. While they're approaching Eden, they are probably more confused as to why the Romulans still haven't shown up. I'm sure the Romulans are thinking, Go right ahead, eat all the fruit you want. Severin plans to stun the crew by using sound. Irina and Tongo both say that's dangerous. It took them this long to realize Severin is a bit of an ass. Of course, they don't have earplugs on the way to the shuttle bay, so minus 1 more point. Once they are gone, the sound will turn off. Sometimes this line is cut on TV and you think that the sound pulse is going to stay on until someone gets up and turns it off. This will take forever. They should have listened to me about the transporter. Severin turns the sound pulse on. Of course, Spock hears it first, then Kirk gets to overact, but Scotty's like, screw overacting, I'm just hitting the ground. 1 point is lost for reusing the sickbay footage from Spock's brain, and another point lost for using Nurse Chapel's complete fall, since her tunic is still way too short. And this is a pretty cool scene where they're singing over an unconscious crew. He is an asshole, isn't he? Look closely. Kirk has to turn the sound pulse off. Either there was a glitch in Severin's programming for it to turn off automatically, or he lied to his followers. It could have been a script error, but it still fits. The next point is lost since it was too easy for them to steal the shuttlecraft. How did they get all the access codes, and who opened the shuttle bay doors? Kirk doesn't want to communicate with them to give the illusion they succeeded, but wouldn't it be better just to beam them all back up? Of course, the Starfleet crew is explorers, so they would also want a science team to check out the planet as well. Another point is lost for the captain and first officer beaming down together, especially if Romulans could be around. And another point lost for not beaming down with a security/science team, since Romulans could be on the surface. Another point lost for reusing a scene from Shore Leave. Look what happens next. Spock is secretly contemplating writing to his brother and saying, "Hey Cybok, I found Shakari before you. And it was nowhere near the center of the galaxy like you thought." This is always terrible advice on an unknown planet. Now look what happened. Chekhov is rehearsing for his dramatic movie scenes. Obvious fake artificial grass, so minus 1 more point. The planet is poisonous, which explains the lack of animal life, but plants reproduce by flowers and fruit seeds being eaten by animals and dropping the seeds off. Which means this planet defies Earth science for sure, and minus 1 point for a dead atom twitching his finger. Big disappointment for Spock because he really tried to befriend them. The next point is lost for the girls being lifted off the shuttlecraft, and not the guys, of course. Where are they taking them? All of them are barefoot. Dr. Severin has really bad athlete's foot. The good news is that the crew is concerned about the welfare of the hippies, and not that they tried to kill the crew, hijack the Enterprise, and stole a shuttlecraft. But Severin doesn't care. Another point lost for another reverse image. See, they are sitting on the rocks, but their bare feet are in the dirt. Chekhov uses this situation to make his move again. The third season got hit hard by a cut budget, but this show did well with their musical score. Chekhov apologizes for his hormones getting in the way, and Kirk says, that's odd, that happens to me every week. Irina comes to the bridge to give Chekhov a goodbye kiss. Spock wishes her well in her search, and both of them think, hey, isn't her dress on backwards? Yes! Kirk finally figures out what they were talking about, and the Enterprise flies off into the sunset. So, who were the hippies? Phyllis Douglas spent most of her career as a real estate agent. We saw her the first year as Yeoman Mears in the Galileo 7, and although she only has a few screen credits, she can proudly say she was not only on Star Trek and Batman, but also Gone with the Wind. Yes! Deborah Downey pursued a career as an artist and singer, joining many 60s bands. Unfortunately, an ailment that hurts her jaw complicated her singing career, but has had a successful career with her art. Elizabeth Rogers was on Star Trek 3 times in the Doomsday Machine and as the voice of the Companion. She was also on The Time Tunnel, Land of the Giants, and Bewitched. Victor Brandt has 100 screen credits, many of them voiceovers. You also see him on Gomer Pyle, They Came from Outer Space, and as the narrator for Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat. Mary Linda Rapley was Irina and just left us in April 2021. She has 10 screen credits, including a part on Star Trek Phase 2. Charles Napier played Adam, who also served in the Army. He has 200 screen credits, including Austin Powers, The Dukes of Hazzard, and provided the growl for The Incredible Hulk. We will see him again on Deep Space Nine episode Little Green Men. Skip Homeyer played Dr. Severin and was Melicon last year. He has 130 screen credits, including tons of westerns, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and The Incredible Hulk. So, was The Way to Eden a show warning us about an upcoming superbug, a show about our quest to answer the creation question, or a show about hippies who have well-meaning ideologies but are too easily influenced by a corrupt leader? We can argue about those for years, but until then, this show gets a score of 72%. Thanks for viewing. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists and click that like button, the share button, that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.